Hello everyone, Warhammer here and welcome to the new Let's Play series for the channel. Now, as you can guess from the title of the video, the winning faction for Mortal Empires was Numas. So we're going to be playing as the Tomb Kings with an interesting unique character thanks to Mixu's legendary lords, as well as a legendary hero I discovered after reading through the mod description and actually checking out the beginning of the game myself, just so I have an idea about how the Tomb Kings are going to play, because it's been quite a while since I actually played the Tomb Kings last on Warhammer 2. But in honour of the fact that Numas is the victor, I thought we'll start off with the Tomb King background, which I think is really nice, especially with the black pyramid and a gash floating here in the background, and just in front of the sun. Very nice indeed. But enough of that, let's actually get started with the campaign. So we're going to go through here, come through here, do this, and let's find Tutankhanut, our king and the leader of Numas. Now, you can read about what the Tomb Kings actually involve and their unique aspects here, but the actual faction effects for Numas is that every gold mine that we will get will give us 25% extra income, thanks to Tutankhanut's sort of interest in gold, shall we say. We also get a 5% casualty replenishment bonus, as well as +2 to public order. As for Tutankhanut himself, see here, he's got extra missile damage and weapon strength for his horseman units and for skeleton archers in terms of missile damage. We also got a charge bonus for both horseman types, and his unit capacity is +2 for all horseman units. So his army is going to be very unique compared to some of the other armies we can play with, because of his interest in having cavalry. So while we'll be having infantry in that, there will still be a strong focus on cavalry units. We are of course playing on hard difficulty for both of these, and we're playing with the closer to tabletop Overhaul, which is going to make things a little bit more difficult than usual, given that I believe it's more focused towards normal level gameplay. But we managed to do okay with Petonia, so I think we can do just as well with the Tomb Kings. And with all of that said and done, let's start the campaign. Now, like I said, I actually have done a turn or two of the campaign just so I can have an idea how the sort of Tomb Kings work, as well as have a look to see how we're going to do this campaign. Because we could go for the long campaign objective, which is, I think, quite doable compared to some of the other ones, which require you to go after pretty much all of the sort of capitals for the different factions. So if we want to do the Long Kingdom campaign, we can actually just build some landmark buildings, capture some territory, which is thematic as well as a couple of other things. So I think that could be a good objective for this campaign, although I will leave it up to you guys as well to have a say in what do you think would that do, and we'll go into it in detail once we get onto the campaign screen. The secondary sort of objective I would be interested in doing, but it will be a bit more difficult, shall we say, and require us to go out of our way a little bit, is to actually chase down the Books of Nagash. There is 8 of them on the map, and they are spread around the entire campaign map. So it could be a bit of a challenge to get them all, but I think it could make a nice secondary objective. But we'll actually go into detail about that in just a moment. Looks like we're about to load up. I said we're just about to load up, game. Are you going to do that for me, or are you going to let me down? Nah, gives me a moment at least to appreciate the picture. I really think this is some fantastic artwork. I like the fact we've got the Tomb King sitting here on top of the War Sphinx. We've got a Hydra Titan here and the Bone Giant just here with the Karen over there. I think it's a very cool picture. But in fact, I just thought I'd take a screenshot while I've got it. But here we go, onto the campaign map, and we've already got King Tutankhanut already selected. Now, his army composes of some skeleton spearmen, we've got some archers, chariots, Nekahar horsemen, archer chariots, and a bone giant. Now, I never got a chance to use bone giants until now, when I actually decided to give this a little bit of a go, like I said. And they really look cool, I must say. I really like the fact they are specialist artillery, that they're basically a giant bow unit. And I really thought they were cool when I saw them on the battle map, and we're going to be seeing it again for ourselves shortly. Now, what do we want to do first of all? Well, we actually want to introduce you to our hero. Now, we actually start off with a legendary hero from Mixu's mod, and this is this chap here, Ramatep the Visionary. Now, his backstory is very interesting, and I'd be quite happy to share that with you, as well as to talk about Tutankhanut himself and the province and city of Numas, during the end-turn phases, so we can share a bit of lore with the game as well. But Ramateb is going to join up with the army. He's going to increase our mobility a fair bit. Now, the only thing is he can't quite reach it this turn, but since we're going to be coming down here, once we defeat this army, because the Springs of Eternal Life are actually part of the Ash River province, which we mainly own. So we want to come down, take this, and secure the whole province under our control. Once we've done this, we'll probably want to come over here to Kash Sabah, so we can at least take this capital. Now we have our fellow Tomb Kings, Onin, Antok, and Bagar, which we could potentially try and go to war over. But just going for the capital here would be quite nice, and it would give us access to the landmark building here, the Great Pyramid. And it will also eliminate the Necroarch Brotherhood from the campaign. But that's going to be coming later. First of all, let's move Ramateb down towards here. He's going to join up with the army once we defeat this unit army here. About Valdemir the Odd Observer. An Akark leader. And you can see he's already got some skeleton warriors, crypt horrors, and a corpse cart. And he's got a few more units. So fighting is going to be kind of tough. But I feel comfortable that we will win this, because I've already done it once. So as you can see, Banspar is against me, and they have crit ghouls. They got the 2 units of skeleton warriors, skeleton spearmen, crypt horrors, and the corpse cart. Whereas we've got our units. The problem we're going to have... Okay, Tutankhanut, I get it. Nekahara is going to be yours. That's certainly what we want to do. We actually, once we finish this, go through the campaign objectives I think afterwards. And I need to actually start recording. Crap. That means we're going to have a longer video than I expected, because I can't remember how long we played. But I'm going to do for whatever time I've now started it, plus 30 minutes. But what I want to do is ask you guys, what would you like to see? Now, the last time we did a Mortal Empires campaign with Betonia, where I was doing an hour-long episode, and I'm quite happy to continue doing that. But if you like the episodes a bit shorter, then let me know down in the comments, and I can certainly do that. So let me know either way. What would you like to see? Hour-long episodes or 30-minute episodes? And we'll work it in accordingly. But this... I would have liked a better map, to be honest. We didn't fight them last time on this. It was slightly different. It wasn't on such a big hill. Although it certainly looks nice when you look over here. It's just this big, massive canyon. Very, very cool. In fact, that could have been potentially another map to play on. You can see this is like a really good choke point. And it goes into the mountains. That could potentially have been another map to fight on. As part of the thing. Interesting. Anyway, that's their army. We're going to be relying mainly on our Bone Giant to try and kill off their lords, because Tutankhanut, while he is a reasonable fighter, he is not really specialized as a fighter. We need to boost him up a little bit before we worry about things like that. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to take advantage of moving them slightly over here so we can have the high ground. Okay. As Anakin found out, it's probably a good idea to take the high ground. I know, bad joke, but it's recently been Star Wars Day, you have to forgive me. Anyway, you're going to come up behind here, and we're going to have our bowman at least be able to take some shots at the enemy. Tutankhanut's going to be in between the two of them, so he's going to have some fire support, and if we need to, we can charge him in. And speaking of fire supports, we're going to use our Bone Giants, and look at the size of that bow. I mean, doesn't that look pretty? I love the fact that he looks a bit like an orc as well. Even though, well, we're going to be fighting the orcs at some points, I'm sure. But there we go, he's got the pride and pleasure of being on the front line, ready to take shots at the enemy. We've got our chariots now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put... what do we have? Skeleton chariots, you guys can come here. Nekaharan horsemen can come over here. And these are going to be flanking around. Our archers, though, make sure you're on skirmish mode, is you're going to come over here. And your job is to basically kite away some of their units. In fact, go after their crit ghouls. They have very low armor, so we'll at least be able to do some shots against them. Yeah, skeleton warriors are slightly better. The only thing I'm a little bit worried about is these crypt horrors. As you can see, they've got decent armor piercing. They're quite good at melee, poison attacks, and they got regeneration. So there's no point in really focusing on these counters straight away. Although, here comes our first shot. And he's decided to just do exactly what I said it not to do. But hey, we managed to kill off a few of their units. I actually did a nice chunk of damage, I must say. Alright, let's spread you guys out a little bit now, ready to flank the enemy. So what I'm going to try and do is really rely on our spearmen here to... Okay, pull back. Said I want to really kite these units away so we can try and limit what we're facing. Oh crap, that was a terrible shot. Really? Jesus. Okay, you guys can come over here. Looks like the crypt horrors are making their way towards us, but apparently, compared to our chariots, these guys are going to be not that much of a challenge. I don't know how much I would agree with that, necessarily, but... yeah, we'll see. Anyway, let's pull you guys back. We don't want you attacking these. We want you to be the attackers. You guys are going to make your way around now to flank. And we might as well get started. You're going to come after the Vampire Lord. You're going to charge against this unit. You guys are going to charge into here. You're going to focus on taking some shots against him. There you go. Just bash him down. You guys are going to charge into this unit. Okay, that wasn't quite what I wanted to happen, but we'll make it work, I guess. Yeah, you're losing decisively. I don't want that. Come over here and fight that instead. You guys were supposed to be trying to distract everyone, so do that for me. Get out of there. Chariots, move. Oh god, we're not going to have the same problems with the Pegasus Knights, are we? I hope not. Okay, come over here and charge against them. You are really taking a pounding against their thing. I wanted you to take on their general. Jesus. Didn't think you were going to do this badly. Okay, Knuckleharm and Horseman, get out of there. We need you to focus on doing some more damage. You guys need to come over here and kite against the... charge against the enemy. Okay, you did. Good, pull back. Warriors are rallying. Oh, the Bone Giant is not doing too well, is he? Crap baskets. Okay, pull out. Charge back in. You take him out. You take him out. Tutankhanut, take out Valdemir. We lost a unit. Oh crap, we lost the... we lost them. Damn. Okay, come over here and fight them. Bone Giants... see if you can take him out. You should be taking him out fairly easily. I don't know what's making it so difficult for you guys, if I'm completely honest. Okay, you guys come after this. Spearmen, come and fight them too. We should have really started having our thing go up. Okay, let's pull you guys back. Nekahar and Horsemen, let's pull you guys back too. And I need you to break these spearmen beforehand. Okay, you guys... start pulling back. Pull back, pull back, pull back. Damn it. Okay, turn around and take some shots of them, please. Okay, we've killed the vampire. That's good. Let's charge you guys now into this unit here. Let's charge you guys into here. Chariots, where have you guys disappeared off to? You're in the group already? Okay, let's pull you guys out. Okay, let's pull you guys over here. You're taking shots against the Crypt Horrors. Criticals are still fighting, but that's going to be a thing for them. Okay, you guys come over here and help against the Crypt Horrors. You guys are going to charge in against these. What we really kind of need is just the enemy to break at this point and start breaking down. Yeah, critical binding, army losses. Just start crumbling already, men. There we go, that's one unit gone. We just need these guys to go. There we go, a Pyrrhic victory. Don't know if I would say... okay, we nearly lost half the army. And we did lose a unit of chariots. To be fair. Wow. To be honest, I don't know how that could have gone much different. I know he's not the best melee fighter, but I thought he would have done a good job against the Vampire Lord. But the fact that he was getting destroyed by just skeleton warriors, that was actually a little bit disconcerting. I didn't care too much about these. I think always trying to use skirmishing cav is always a bit awkward for me to use, personally. I never like to use them. But it's going to be kind of ironic considering that we've picked a faction leader whose specialty is going to be using, you know, skeleton horsemen and their bow and arrows in particular. No matter though, we'll make it work. But we've managed to defeat their army and we can now focus on going after the Springs of Eternal Life and just completely occupying the Ash River province. Thank you for telling me about drop-down lists. I do miss the mod that actually allows you to have the quotes from the different characters, but it wasn't updated last time I saw it, and I didn't want to run the risk of it being disruptive to the campaign because of it. Now, what do we want to do? Extra 20% campaign movement could be useful. That would be very useful too. But I think we're going to go for the canopic jars. I know they're going to be a bit rotten, but I'm sure we can just put them in a jar and it'll be fine. Okay, so you guys are going to have to make your way now over to here. It's going to take 2 turns. Okay, let's add a few units. So I'm going to take 1 unit of these. We've got 2 units of spearmen here. So let's go for 2 units of warriors. And that should boost things up a little bit. And then Ramatep can join up. And then that whole situation should be sorted out then. But now we've done that, it's time to start sorting out some buildings, and also sort out our research. So I'll tell you what, let's do research first. Now, I've had a look through the dynasties, because if you don't know about Tomb King research, you need to research these first. And as you can see, it increases the capacity for your armies, which is quite useful because, well, Tomb Kings don't have to pay for their units or pay for upkeep, but they are limited in only having 1 army at a time until you get these. So we need to research 1, and I've decided, after having my little playthrough before, to go for the Wisdom of the Second Dynasty. Not only do I think it's quite thematic, as you can see here, it marked a period of sweeping territorial expansion and growing prosperity for Nekahara, but also the units we can research for here are going to give bonuses towards our horse units and our archers, which I think is going to be very useful when you combine it with the bonuses that Tutankhanut gives to the army. So the Wisdom of the Second Dynasty is going to be happening. Now, something I'm quite interested to check out is, as you can see up here, once you've done the dynasty research, for canopic jars, we can actually get a new Tomb King added to the army if we choose to do the research. So Rakash here could be added in, and you can see he has a bunch of traits. Now, from what my understanding is, they're actually fairly generic lords. They just got a fancy name usually, and maybe 1 or 2 little bonuses. So I've got a mod you can find in the mod collection, which actually is supposed to make them fairly more unique. And not only that, it seems to have incorporated zombie dragons to the Tomb Kings. Now, I'm not entirely certain how lawful that actually is, but there is apparently, what's the word? Evidence to support it. It was actually mentioned in an old tabletop game called War Master, where it was focused on more like large-scale armies than the typical Warhammer tabletop, and apparently zombie dragons was a thing. That actually having a dragon was a mark of respect for the Tomb Kings, and so they could be buried with a dragon. So looks like we could potentially get zombie dragons at some point in the future. I don't know how lawful that is, but I want to keep the mod just because I think it will be useful for the other bonuses it's going to give to the other Tomb Kings once we actually unlock them. Now, we've done the research. We just need to see what we can do about upgrading Numas and Qatar. Can't do anything here. We can get a unit here. Now, what am I wanting to do? We could spend the money to upgrade this to a tier 2 equipped barracks, which allows me to get Nekaharan warriors. Or, given our particular bonus, I'm thinking we're going to go for the Quicksand Swamp, so we can get access to skeleton horsemen and archers as well. With the bonuses we can get for Tutankhanut, that's going to be very useful, especially when we finished off the dynasty research. But that's that. When we get a bit more money, I will think about getting the equipped barracks as well. And it shouldn't be too long, although we do need to start looking into diplomacy. Now, I didn't actually take too much look at this before, but we have 2 options really. We can either go for clan wars, which I believe starts off here. So do we really want to ally with Creek Headtaker? Not really. We don't want disgusting rats in our province. we could go for Cetra, who doesn't like us right now, and he has a natural aversion, no doubt because we are also a Tomb King.
Kneel before Cetra. Only then may you petition me.
You got another thing coming, Cetra. Now we could go for a non-aggression pact. It could be a potential useful thing to have for the moment. Right. Now, before we actually hit the end turn button, let me just quickly show you this. So this is what I'm thinking for the campaign. A long campaign of victory, which means we actually get a few episodes out of this, will require us to go after the followers in Nagash, so Ark and the Black over here by the coast, and take them out. It's something I was planning to sort of do anyway. We need to have 10 units in total of Kemrian War Sphinxes, Hero Titans, and Necro Sphinxes. Again, something I'm thinking of doing. Going for the Black Pier in Nagash, also something I was planning to do, and that will be required. We need to build the different pyramids, which again, I think I would do once I talk Nekahara. And we also need to go after 17 of the following settlements, either through direct ownership, vassals, or military allies. So we've got Kemri, the Visitor Caliph's Place, Black Tower Nagash, Akan, Alhak, Numas, Kasabar, Galbaraz. Galbaraz is going to be quite thematic. That's the location that the Strigoi is supposed to own, if I remember right. Kargoran, so we have to go against them. Kamakzorn. So basically, I'm just going to go through these, but basically we need to take the Badlands, conquer all the way from east to west, and then head up north, up to the point where we're going to be going after Akendorf, right by the Border Princes. Let's go after Myrmidons down here and Black Crag. I think that could be an interesting idea for us to do, and it certainly allows us to have a certain objective, sort of direction for the campaign. Not only that, but we can go for the Black Books in Nagash, which can give us bonuses when we get them, but some of them may require us to do a little bit more effort. Like, for example, this one just needs us to go after the Eyes of the Jungle, but this one requires us to actually conquer Altdorf. Right, this one requires us to go all the way up to the Dark Elves. We may have to go after Hexalt, the White Tower of Hoeth. So it is a potential secondary objective, and I think it could be quite thematic if Tutankhanut is to take over Nekahara. But I don't know, it could be quite out of our way. So again, I might leave it to you guys. What do you think? Do you think that's a good idea, or should we do something else? Now we also need to adjust the camera. Now something I do have is I've got the Mortal Empire's turn exploder, so that should make it so we can go through our turns a little bit faster. Not too worried about allies, enemies. We'll have it on medium, but I will just have it fast so we can keep an eye on our enemy movements. Neutral, we'll just have it on low for both of these and just have them again fastest. There we go. So, about a bit of lore, because who wants to learn more about Warhammer? I do. So, to start with, let's talk about Numas itself, because that is our faction. Now, Numas is also known as the Scarab City, and its location made it very important and led to it actually being one of the first cities ever built by humans. Because its location by the Ash River, as well as another river to the north that I can't remember off the top of my head, it meant that the lands around it was very fertile, and it, of course, brings people there to do farming. And like I said, it was eventually built as by a old king, and is actually one of the first human cities. It was actually built before Cetra even ruled, so quite a long time ago. Since then, it was went through prosperity until it was eventually conquered by Cetra himself, and made as part of Kemri. But once Cetra died, when he was actually alive that is, they established their independence, and for many centuries then and decades, it went back and forth between Cetra, between Kemri trying to conquer them, and then them throwing it off and becoming independent again. So we have a bit of a history with Cetra already, which makes me think it's going to be quite thematic for us to go after Kemri and conquer it ourselves. But that's going to be our later objective once we've actually dealt with the vampire accounts down here. So you can read a little bit here about the skeleton archers of Nekahara, and how they've been blessed basically to be able to actually go after enemies. They're not the most accurate things. And you can actually read here about what happens with the Tomb King's army. What I actually quite like about the Tomb Kings is that they are not enslaved to a necromancer's will, or their leech priests in this case. What actually happens is that the leech priests have brought back the spirits of the soldiers, who fight because of a sense of loyalty, that even though that might be the only thing left of their spirit, that and their fighting ability, it's still, they've chosen to do it out of loyalty, rather than out of being sort of enslavement. And I like that little sort of, makes it a bit more neutral good, I guess you can say, about the Tomb Kings. Now, Ramatep, you need to join over to Tutankhanut to increase its mobility. And, ooh, we now got the Great Incarnation of Petra. This is the one, if I remember right. Yes. So if we have 4,000 gold, we can actually use the get a particular hero, which will allow us to colonize ruins at tier 3, so we don't have to worry about upgrading it. That could be quite useful for any towns, that cities that we actually come across, rather than the sort of the minor settlements. Now, do I want to go after this straight away? I mean, then, yeah, let's do it. They're fairly lightly protected. While we have a few casualties, I think we'll take it back easily enough. What's the garrison like? Oh, very easy. Just zombies, some fellbats. Yeah, we can deal with that easily enough. We'll take that, and they can continue replenishing once they get inside the city. We can add a few more units to their army. That's still building. We're going to have a long time before we actually can build anything. Fine, let me just check the mortuary code. I'm just curious to see if there's anything we can sort of buy right now. Or do we actually need... Yes, we do need trade goods for everything, basically. Okay, that's a shame. I was just hoping there might have been something we may be able to get. We're just having Canampic jars. Oh yeah, we need to do this for a new dynasty. That... The Flock of Jaff could be quite interesting, but I would be more interested in the Isharian's Legion of the Netherworld. Storm Riders of Kassar. That could be quite useful given our bonuses. I'm going for the Necropolis Lights. Another quick end turn phase. So, what was I saying about Numas? Yes, Numas was continually conquered and gained its independence from Khemri. Until...
Creature, what manner of thing are you?
That is a very good question to ask. No, we're not going to accept a non-aggression from you. You are an invader to our lands. Or at least you could potentially be. But anyway, so there's a bit of back and forth between Khemri and Numas. And eventually it was sort of put aside then as Nagash became in charge of doing the Third Dynasty. Then Numas was one of the many provinces led by the king of Lamia that actually went against Nagash and defeated him, sending him off to Nagashazar, the province that's all the way up to the north. Once that threat was gone, though, everyone started sort of breaking apart, as you can imagine, where they went back and forth and ended up fighting one another. I believe then, Numas was then finally conquered again by Khemri, and remained so for quite some time. Then, eventually though, it's when the Great Awakening occurred, and the Tomb Kings came back. Cetra came knocking then, because a bunch of Tomb Kings that were around, because obviously we had different generations, were all fighting one another. Cetra then turned up, beat the crap out of them, and sent the survivors back into their burial crypts, ready to be called when he summoned them. So, we then had a bunch of them here, and Numas itself, though, was very sort of ruined by that state, but there's still a bit more story to tell about the city itself, and we'll talk about it in the next end turn phase. First of all, though, we're going to go after the Springs of Eternal Life and take it from them. We now also encounter the Doom Kingdoms. Alright, fairly easy auto resolve, we'll just go for that. We lost a few men, we actually lost more than we did in that previous battle against a more tougher foe. No matter, we've at least managed to occupy it. It's made a little bit more money coming in, and we've now secured the complete province. We've got the Great Incarnation of Kassar. The god of the desert is invoked, and a mighty sandstorm blasts across the dunes. Ah, yes, that one. So, we can cause attrition to any foreign armies, make our own troops immune, and we get the Sand Veil ability that gives us Stalk and Unspottable. That could be quite useful. Increases our ambush chance as well, and it's fairly cheap. Well, I say cheap, it's 3,000. That would be much better, but we need to get the Nekaharman Citadel building. Great Incarnation of Tahaf. That would be nice. I really like the Casket of Souls. I think it's a really cool unit. But we need to get 20 units first before we can recruit one. Gotcha. Right, what do we actually have here, the Springs of Eternal Life? I could keep that, just because it does increase the Skeleton Archer capacity by 4. But since we only allowed 1 army, I'm going to... In fact, no, I'm going to tell you what, I'm actually going to get rid of it from here. The open... Just because we don't really need... It's only a tier 3 building at most, and I'd rather use these building slot for other stuff. So while we're here, let's take advantage and get a few more archers. So I believe we can get 4 anyway, so we'll go for that. We'll build up then our central units. So I'm quite happy to spend an extra turn here. So let's grab 2 of you, and then 2 of you. There we go. That'll give my units time to replenish as well, and then we'll have a 17 stack ready to go after Kasaba. Right, now what do we want to give the province? I'm thinking at the moment extra growth would be quite nice. I mean, we do have some issues with public order that we may need to sort out at some point, but while the army is sort of replenishing, I think we'll be okay. Actually, let's go for the warship at Jaf. That's going to give us an extra bit of experience for our units and increase our casualty replenishment, which means we can get going even faster. Finally, King Tutankhanut, what we're going to give you for your 2 points. Can't give you that yet and along his unique tree. Indomitable it will be useful to make him a better fighter, and especially increase his ability to shoot. But what I want to do is really improve his army in general. So we're going to go for this one. Casualty replenishment, though. Yeah, let's go for Soul Weeper. This one scours the battlefields, plains, and dunes for the vanquished dead, so his army may march at full strength once more. I mean, that can give us an extra 20% casualty replenishment. That's going to be useful. So we'll do that. We will also now encounter the Doom Kings and the Sentinels. You guys are a little bit stronger than I anticipated. I'll tell you what, let's go for non-aggression with you. You're not interested, eh? Kenry, are you willing to talk to me now?
Should I do so again?
Ooh, not the best thing to be bringing up, Cetra. Like I said, Count Numas and Cetra have got a bit of a history. And as we're going to be eventually conquering the whole of Nekahara for King Tutankhanut, I think it's going to be quite thematic for us as well to basically fight and kill Cetra, because Cetra is the imperishable. He does not bend the knee to anyone, nor even the Chaos Gods, according to the end times. Anyway, so back to Numas. So after Cetra came in the second time, after the Great Awakening, he subjugated the Tomb Kings at the time, and Numas was basically just left as a city of the dead, like it's every other city, until a nomadic tribe known as the Siphons, if I remember, Siphons, if I got the name right, and terrible of saying people's names, turned up at the city, and they actually encountered Prince, at the time, Prince Tutankhanut, although in this game he's king. And they actually believed he was a manifestation of their god. I mean, Tutankhanut is a very sort of impressive Tomb King. He's got a body of gold, which we'll be going into probably in the next episode now. But because of seeing him and believing him to be a manifestation of their god, they decided to actually move in to Numas. And so Numas eventually became a city of both the living and the dead. Crops started to grow once more because of the living people that lived there. And what ended up happening was a steal, it was in a way struck. They were allowed to live there and be under the protection of soldiers and guardians that never slept, as in the Tomb King's armies. And in return, they maintained the crops and actually maintained the city itself. And as a result, the city became more fertile and prospered like never before. Now, there is a final little bit of story to do with Numas, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. But for the moment, we need to continue pushing in here. Why is there a chaos? Apparently there's a chaos character somewhere. Oh, hang on. Right, so apparently we've got the Jagged Horn tribe somewhere nearby, and we can't see them. But I'm wondering if they're hidden at the moment, and that's why we actually got an issue with character and chaos presence coming up. Okay, we'll sort that out in a moment. We could upgrade this, so we can actually get access to the Nekaharans. Let me just have a look, though. Is there anything else we kind of use? We could go for a skeletal garrison here. Guess Legionary Barrage, local armies, increase our ballista. Okay. Or we can just go for this and start making a little bit of extra money. It's not too much, but every little bit's going to help. Or we can just go for an obelisk. I mean, we do need to upgrade the settlement as a whole, I think, before we need to worry. I'll tell you what. That's extra growth. That's not really a lot of extra growth, to be fair. Let's go for increasing the Springs of Internal Life, so we can actually get the upgrade now to make this into Crypt Barracks and get Nekaharan warriors. Alright, so you got one more turn to go. You've also upgraded yet again. Well done. Okay, this time though we're going to go for Passage to the Soul Realm, and we're going to go for another point of Soul Reaper. What does this do? Income from Raiden. That will be useful as well. Public Order could be a thing. But what I'm thinking really is to mainly focus on the Arrows of Asp. Maybe focus on that one, and that one. Just because they are going to be quite useful for our armies, not so much these. Although I say that, I really do like the Shapti. I really look forward to putting those in the army. They're my favourite unit among the Tomb Kings. Anyway, we've got a massive amount of regeneration going on now because of that boost. Really nice to see. But anyway, let's hit that. And to find out a little bit about Numas itself. Because the Living happen to be there, they actually are really appreciative of Tutankhanut, as they said. He is a manifestation of their god, so they believe. And so it's quite a common sight for the armies of Numas to have armies consisting of both the dead and the living. So you could see bone chariots going across the battlefield with, you know, your skeleton and a spearman marching in sync. And then next to them having these horsemen riding white Araban steeds as they charge through to attack the flanks. So a very cool little bit of lore, which is a shame which isn't introduced into the game itself. Maybe it'd be something that Chronosis could do with the faction unlocker, but he's working extremely hard at the moment from what I've gathered, sorting out the updates. And compared to lots of people in the mod comments section that just keep bugging him, saying, when are you going to get this done? When are you going to get this done? I'm quite appreciative to sit around and wait. But the final little thing as well I thought was quite interesting about what the Scythians are doing in the Numas is when one of their people die, one of their soldiers die, what they do is they take the body out into the desert and leave it there for 40 days and 40 nights. So basically, between the wind and the wild animals there, it will turn into a skeleton. They will then bring the skeleton back, and that skeleton will then be incorporated into the armies of Numas. So even in death, their people serve their god, and I thought that was a nice little touch to talk about. Now we know where that is, we need to potentially go after that. But I'm thinking at the moment we can manage the raiding for a little bit, although what we do now that the army has been recruited and up to full strength, we're going to swap this over to... Which one was it that has the public order? This one. That's going to hopefully sort out the untainted level a bit as well. And we can start making our way over towards Kasaba. Now, what do they actually have here, is my question. Quite... a Vosaran. Okay, so this is their faction leader, I believe. Yeah, melee expert vampire... He's just the general vampire lord. Huh, I was hoping for something a little bit more unique, to be honest. Yeah, no matter, we'll kill him off anyway. What can we give you guys know? I might as well try and give a few extra units. So we got access to the horsemen, we can get 3 more units involved. So let's say we'll have another unit of horsemen because we got the Nekaharan ones. And we're going to go for 2 units of archers. There we go. Ramatep will give you... Let's increase our mobility so we get more movement. What else can we get? Kanabikjar Hoarder would be quite nice, or just increasing his general stats. If we just go his personal tree here, that would be quite interesting to work through, and these ones too. Let's work on Kanabikjar Hoarder, just so we can start building it up a little bit. And I think that will work out quite nicely. But there we go. That was a lot louder than I anticipated. Okay. So what's going to happen now for the next episode, because we're going to be finishing once the turn phase finishes. So we're going to go after Kasabar, and we're going to try and eliminate them from the campaign. Now, I don't know what the garrison's going to be like, but I'm hoping that we can perhaps try and ambush the army, or force them to come out to attack us, rather than try and take the walls. But I suppose we're going to have to wait and see what happens. Once that's done, we're going to be heading back up north then to kill off the Beastman army that's raiding my territory right now. Just because I don't want to have to deal with that public order penalty for a long period of time. So once we've done that then, I think we're going to start maybe being a bit more aggressive towards our neighbours. I don't know yet about necessarily going to fight Khemri straight away, but depending on how powerful they are, maybe try and make a bold move by doing something like going after the Black Pyramid and Nagash. Could definitely be a thing we could try and do. Or we can try and defend against this army, which includes a few Ugors, so I'm not too concerned about these really. But the main problem is going to be, how do you pronounce that? Ufbarhug Blooddrinker, who's quite a reasonable melee fighter, and all we got is crappy spearmen and archers to try and fight him. Well, we'll see how it goes in the next episodes. So, what I can say for now is thank you very much for watching, and I hope you join me next time. Otherwise, take care everyone, and goodbye for now.